Some stories have the feel of modern fables, daytime ghost tales. We can only observe as their wings begin to soften in these narratives of individuals who rise so high and so close to the spotlight of public adoration. The strange, shimmering space between longing and despair is where these narratives dwell. Among these legends is the story of Karen Mulder. It's not merely a straightforward rise and fall, however. This work hauntingly explores both an industry that fabricates dreams and the human toll of achieving one. She embodied the ideal, the classy blonde, the perfect angel, meticulously designed for public eye. Yet, understanding her path means grasping the alluring and destructive power of the image, as well as the fragile spirit that might be hidden behind it. This narrative addresses the structure of fame and the individual sacrifices linked to being a model. It recounts a plea for help that an entire world overlooks. What happens when the aspiration morphs into a nightmare and the angel comes crashing down? The renowned supermodel Karen Mulder's story begins not on a glamorous runway, but in the unremarkable Dutch town of Vlaardingen, a quiet middle-class area. She was born in 1970, with her mother working as a secretary and her father as a tax inspector. It was a world far removed from the opulence and indulgence she was about to encounter. With braces and conventional ambitions, young Karen never thought of herself as someone who would be featured on magazine covers. She enjoyed swimming and excelled academically, aspiring towards a stable career and a typical existence. Fashion seemed like a distant dream meant for others in more glamorous locales. As happens often, an unexpected turn of events marked a significant change in her trajectory. Without Karen's knowledge, a friend of hers submitted her vacation pictures to the initial round of the prestigious Elite Model Look competition during a family camping trip in the south of France in the summer of 1985. This competition, often referred to as the Modeling Olympics, was a key source for discovering new talent for the industry, having launched icons such as Cindy Crawford and Stephanie Seymour. She won the preliminary round and quickly advanced to the international finals, securing second place and, more importantly, a contract with the esteemed Elite Model Management in Paris. To the fast-paced, competitive, and mature realm of fashion, her ascent was not just rapid, but explosive. In an industry that often favored exoticism or androgyny, Mulder's allure was in stark contrast. She represented a classic, almost painfully idealized European standard of beauty. Her striking blonde hair, brilliant blue-gray eyes, and perfectly symmetrical features made her a photographer's dream, a pristine canvas of pure beauty. As a symbol, she took ownership of the attire she wore. She gained fame in 1991 as a Guess Girl, a campaign that cemented her status as a leading bombshell. At Chanel, she became a favorite of Karl Lagerfeld and consistently graced magazine covers worldwide. Mulder's radiant and healthy looks provided a lucrative and compelling alternative as the grunge era rose and heroin chic became the prevailing fashion. She was known as the classy blonde, an ethereal beauty that appeared unattainable. However, she later admitted that in escaping a conventional life, she had merely traded her family's realistic expectations for those that were impossibly global. Despite its opulence, a cage remains a cage.
Sending pictures to Look of the Year in Holland, and I never actually thought of being a model.
The model only came into existence around the mid-1990s. It marked the era of the supermodel. Among the leading figures in this phenomenon was Karen Mulder.
This was more than just about appearing attractive in magazines. It was a societal movement. They represented a new brand of star who became famous just by their first names. Among the leading figures in this phenomenon was Karen Mulder. This was more than just about appearing attractive in magazines. It was a societal movement. They represented a new brand of star who became famous just by their first names. At the peak of her career, she was ranked among the highest paid models globally. Her face was featured on everything from Calvin Klein fragrances to Nivea cream. The image conveyed an undeniable sense of success, wealth, fame, and glamour. To outsiders, it resembled a fairy tale. However, when she was chosen as one of the first Victoria's Secret angels in 1997, her royal status was solidified. This was more than a lucrative contract, it was a cultural recognition. The angel persona, angelic, pure, joyous, and unattainably perfect, was reverberated in countless households. Mulder first showcased the now famous large wings on the runway in 1998. In that moment, she and the brand became one. She transformed into an angel, not merely a model, a physical embodiment of an ideal. The industry cleverly leveraged this crafted image, turning not just her appearance, but also her character into commodities. By producing a Karen Mulder doll, Hasbro allowed children to engage with her likeness in real life. She literally marketed the path to becoming her with the release of a CD-ROM offering fitness and beauty tips. This represented the final stage of the transition from person to product. She epitomized the supermodel, successful, happy, and fit. Her public image seemed unassailable. It was the zenith of an elaborate narrative of perfection that overlooked the complex, vulnerable individual at its core.
Striving for perfection is not a sustainable state. As a performance, it can't last forever. By the year 2000, the persistent pressure to maintain that image began to take its toll. Her abrupt departure from modeling marked the first sign of the profound issue brewing underneath. At 30, she was leaving the career that had defined her adult life. Publicly, she claimed she wanted to explore other interests. In private, she would later admit to enduring significant depression for many years, a condition that was dangerously exacerbated by the immense demands of her profession. Then, her personal struggle erupted into the public arena with explosive force. On October 31st, 2001, Mulder appeared on Tout le monde en parle, a popular yet notoriously confrontational French talk show. Thierry Ardisson, the host, was known for his provocative style on television. This was not a casual, gentle discussion. A visibly shaken Mulder made a series of shocking allegations during what production members described as a breathtaking and deeply unsettling moment. She spoke for nearly an hour about how high-profile figures, including Prince Albert of Monaco and top executives from her former modeling agency, had been regularly drugging and sexually assaulting her and other models for years. The interview was never broadcast. After deciding that she was experiencing were rarely questioned openly. She was quickly framed in the media narrative as a mentally unstable woman undergoing a hysterical episode, rather than as a potential victim bravely speaking out. Her perceived or real trauma was dismissed as insanity. Acknowledging her claims was deemed too unsettling to reconcile with the idealized image of the angel she was expected to embody. It was simpler to label her as mad than to confront the possibility that she was disclosing a horrific reality. She filed a complaint with the police and reiterated her accusations to a French publication a few days later, but her claims were ultimately dismissed due to insufficient evidence. The entire industry abandoned her, despite having nurtured her career and profiting from her image to the tune of millions. She found herself utterly alone at her most vulnerable moment. After her family intervened, she was admitted to a mental health facility in Paris, where she underwent 5 months of treatment for anxiety, sadness, and the trauma stemming from her highly public ordeal. Nevertheless, her struggles continued, and the media relentlessly scrutinized her. In December 2002, she overdosed on sleeping pills and was found in a coma at her Paris apartment. Many others speculated that it was a suicide attempt. Although she eventually recovered, her suffering persisted. In 2009, she was arrested on accusations of harassing her plastic surgeon via phone calls. Each incident generated headlines and added new layers to the ongoing public tragedy, erasing the peaceful image of the angel and cementing the narrative of a fallen star. In the years that followed, what characterized Karen Mulder's story was not a resurgence, but rather a defining feature of her journey. Karen opted for a different path, a near total withdrawal from public life, while many of her peers cleverly navigated their legacies by transforming into business leaders, television personalities, or charity organizers. For her, it was about embracing a life away from the limelight. Rare, almost ghostly appearances punctuated her journey. She made a short but positively received return to the catwalk in 2007 for John Galliano's Dior show celebrating his 60th anniversary. She reemerged momentarily, a beautiful, haunting reminder of a bygone era, like a spirit at the celebration. Yet, it served more as a reflection than a response.
Ultimately, Karen Mulder's legacy presents a contrast of pain and elegance. The captivating, unattainable fantasy of the supermodel age was first represented by her. Today, her story is often seen as the most poignant and eerie alternative narrative of that era. In a world that is becoming increasingly aware of issues surrounding mental health, consent, and institutional power, her claims from 2 decades ago in the creation of the icon, Karen Mulder, is a personal story that lingers long after the cameras have stopped flashing.
In 2001, talents like Karen Mulder were dismissed, deemed unstable, erased from memory, and forgotten.